One day, the beautiful Pocahontas had a troubling dream about a spinning arrow. She went to visit her ancient friend, Grandmother Willow, to ask her advice about the dream. She asked Grandmother Willow, "What is my path?" Grandmother Willow told her about the spirits in the earth, water, and the sky. Listen to the spirits and they will guide you. Pocahontas climbed to the top of the tree's branches. She felt the wind blow around her and saw strange white clouds in the distance. The clouds were the sails of a ship that carried strangers to her land. That afternoon, Pocahontas spotted an adventurous man exploring the forest. For some reason, she was drawn to him. She followed him, and he turned to see who was near. John Smith and Pocahontas stared at each other for several minutes. John had never seen such a mysterious and beautiful woman. Pocahontas was scared, but John assured her he was not going to hurt her. Pocahontas did not understand his language, but rather listened with her heart. She introduced herself. "I'm Pocahontas," she said as they shook hands. They began to talk, and soon they bonded in a way that both had never experienced before. John met her friend the raccoon and hummingbird. Pocahontas guided John through her forest home, showing him the gentleness of a mother bear with her cubs. They listened to gray wolves cry and watched eagles fly to the tops of the sycamore trees. John was realizing that people had a lot to learn, and with Pocahontas as his teacher, he began to hear the voices in the mountains and even see colors in the wind. Pocahontas showed him how no one owned the land. Pocahontas went back to her village and showed her friend Nakuma her new friend John Smith. Nakuma was worried, as she had been warned that settlers were dangerous. Pocahontas made Nakuma promise not to tell anyone, as she left to take John to meet Grandmother Willow. Grandmother Willow advised Pocahontas that John was a good soul. Pocahontas was so very happy, and so was John. John left to return to his camp. When he was gone, Grandmother Willow suggested to Pocahontas that perhaps she had found her path. Back in her village, her friend Nakuma sent out a warrior to find John Smith. When Pocahontas returned to her village, the warrior had taken John prisoner. Pocahontas fell to her knees crying. Nakuma was so sorry for what she had done and told Pocahontas, "I am so sorry. I thought I was doing the right thing." Pocahontas visited John in the prisoner's teepee. John told Pocahontas, "I would rather die tomorrow than live 100 years without knowing you." Pocahontas needed some help, and she went to visit Grandmother Willow. As she was walking, her raccoon friend gave her a compass he had snuck from John's bag earlier. The compass's arrow was spinning around. "My dream," said Pocahontas. She knew she must return to save John from the warriors. She protected him but he had already been wounded. Heavy-hearted, they both knew he must return home to survive. "We will always be in each other's hearts," they agreed, as they shared a tender kiss goodbye. As Pocahontas watched his ship sail away, the wind touched them both once again. The end. Once upon a time in the city of Paris, a young man lived in the bell tower of the Notre Dame Cathedral. He was strong enough to ring the church bells. He was also very gentle enough to hold small birds in his hands. His only friends were the gargoyles. They did not mind that he had a hunchback and a face so ugly that his evil, cruel master named him Quasimodo, which means half-formed. Quasimodo knew nothing of the world below him. He only knew what his master told him. His master even taught Quasimodo to think of himself as a monster. Quasimodo wanted to join the crowds below him on the streets of Paris so bad, but his master would never let him leave. Quasimodo spent his days carving small wooden figures, wishing he could see the whole world below. Once a year, Paris celebrated the Festival of Fools. The gargoyles convinced Quasimodo to climb down the tower and attend the festival. Everyone wore masks at the festival, so no one would pay attention to Quasimodo's looks. Quasimodo went to the festival and saw the most beautiful gypsy dancer, Esmeralda. The master's newest soldier, Captain Phoebus, saw Esmeralda and also thought she was the most beautiful. All of a sudden, the crowd grabbed Quasimodo and made him king of fools, until they found out his face was not a mask. He was a monster. They tied him down with ropes so he could not escape. Quasimodo begged his master for help, but he refused. All of a sudden, the beautiful gypsy Esmeralda cut Quasimodo free and yelled at his master. "You mistreat Quasimodo like you mistreat my people," Esmeralda said. "You will pay for this," yelled the master, and he ordered his new Captain Phoebus to arrest her. Esmeralda snuck away into the cathedral with her goat. Captain Phoebus found her there and did not want to arrest her. He told her she could claim sanctuary as long as she stayed inside the church. "If she sets one foot outside this church, she will be my prisoner," said the cruel master. Quasimodo and Esmeralda became great friends. Quasimodo was confused because the master had told him how bad gypsies were, but Esmeralda was kind and good. And she did not think Quasimodo was a monster at all. "I think the master is wrong about both of us," said Esmeralda. Quasimodo helped her plan her escape. Quasimodo carried Esmeralda and her goat down the church walls to the street one night. She gave Quasimodo a special amulet and said, "Use this if you ever need help. It will show you how to find the Court of Miracles, the secret gypsy hideout." She promised she would visit Quasimodo again and kissed him on the cheek. When Esmeralda returned, she brought Captain Phoebus, who had been badly wounded. "The master attacked us, and Captain Phoebus tried to help. Please help him get well." Quasimodo agreed and hid the captain in the bell tower. The master still wanted to find the gypsies and thought Quasimodo might know where to find them all in their secret hideaway. The master tricked Quasimodo and told him he knew where the secret hideaway was, and he would attack the gypsies at dawn with 1,000 of his soldiers. This was just a trick by the cruel master. Quasimodo and Captain Phoebus decided they must use the special amulet to find Esmeralda and warn her. They secretly made their way to the Court of Miracles, but they had no idea the master and his soldiers were secretly following them. Quasimodo and Captain Phoebus led them to the secret gypsy hiding place. "Take them all away," the cruel master yelled to his soldiers. "No, please," begged Quasimodo. But the master had a heart of stone. The next day, the master had chained up Quasimodo in the bell tower and was going to punish Esmeralda in the courtyard below. Quasimodo broke his chains and rescued Esmeralda and brought her to safety in the bell tower. The master tried to break into the tower with his soldiers, but the gargoyles beat the master and his men. At last, the master's evil reign was over. The people of Paris cheered. Hip hip hooray for Quasimodo! Finally, Quasimodo understood he was not a monster at all. But to the people of Paris, he was a great hero. Once upon a time, there was a boy named Aladdin who lived far, far away with his poor widowed mother. One night, a stranger knocked on the front door and said, "Good evening. My name is Mustafa, and I am looking for my brother's son, Aladdin. I would like to take Aladdin to work with me to make good money." Aladdin wasn't too keen on the idea, because there was something about Mustafa that he did not like. But his mother thought it was a great idea, and she agreed to let Aladdin go with his uncle. Aladdin and his uncle walked for a full day into the desert, until they reached a cave with a small entrance. Mustafa was too big to fit through the entrance, so he asked Aladdin to go inside. Aladdin did not trust him and was afraid he might block him in. But his uncle told him there were gems and gold inside the cave. Mustafa told Aladdin he could take as much as he wanted. Mustafa only wanted an old lamp from inside the cave. So Aladdin went inside. Aladdin could not believe his eyes when he entered the cave. It was full of treasures. He started filling his pockets with diamonds and rubies and emeralds. He also found a gold ring that fit his finger perfectly. Finally, he found the lamp Mustafa had asked for. He yelled for Mustafa to help him out. But Mustafa said he wanted to see the lamp first. Aladdin did not trust him, so he refused to let him see the lamp. Mustafa was angry and said, "I am not your real uncle, and I don't care about you, Aladdin. Since you won't give me the lamp, I will block the cave entrance with this huge rock." Mustafa left Aladdin inside. Aladdin sat crying with the lamp inside the cave. "Stupid old lamp," he said. "It is not even real gold." He rubbed the lamp a little to wipe off the dust. And all of a sudden, poof! A genie came out of the lamp. "Master, I will grant you 3 wishes," said the genie. Right away, Aladdin said, "Take me home." And poof, Aladdin was at home. His mother almost fainted at the sight of Aladdin. He told her about Mustafa and the cave full of treasures. Aladdin rubbed the ring he had put on his finger, and a second genie appeared. "Master, I can grant you 2 wishes," said the genie. Aladdin wished for a grand palace and enough wealth for him and his family to be rich forever. All of a sudden, Aladdin and his mother had a beautiful palace filled with riches. One day, Aladdin was walking through the city when he saw the most beautiful girl. He fell in love with her at first sight. She was the Sultan's daughter, Yasmin. Yasmin loved Aladdin too. Aladdin went to ask the Sultan if he could marry Yasmin, and the Sultan said yes. After many years, the Sultan died, and Aladdin ruled the country. This news reached Mustafa. Mustafa knew how Aladdin became so rich and powerful, and he made a plan to get the lamp back. Mustafa tricked Yasmin, who had no idea who he was, into trading him with the old ugly lamp for a shiny new one. Yasmin accepted the trade and went to show Aladdin. Aladdin was mad at Mustafa for tricking his wife into this trade. He searched for Mustafa and found him sleeping with the magic lamp. Aladdin slipped the lamp from Mustafa and raced back to the palace. Aladdin had one more wish, and he asked the genie to turn Mustafa into a frog so that he could never bother them again. The genie granted Aladdin's wish, and Yasmin and Aladdin lived happily ever after. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, a lovely princess was born. The king and queen named their daughter Aurora. They invited everyone in the kingdom to the palace to celebrate her birth. Everyone except for the evil fairy Maleficent. The wicked fairy was so mad about not being invited that she snuck in anyway, in a flash of lightning, and she put a curse on beautiful Princess Aurora. Before the sun sets on her 16th birthday, she will prick her finger on a spinning wheel and die. Then, Maleficent, in a flash of thunder, disappeared. Luckily, 3 good fairies were at the party, and they softened the curse with a prophecy that said, "If this will happen, you will only sleep, not die. Your sleep will be ended when your true love gives you a kiss." The 3 fairies disguised themselves as peasant women and agreed to raise Aurora in the woods to keep her identity a secret until the night of her 16th birthday. The years passed and Princess Aurora grew into a lovely girl. She only knew the 3 women as her aunts, not as fairies, and they called her Briar Rose. The evil fairy Maleficent was always looking for her, but never could find her. Briar Rose always dreamed of meeting a handsome young man and falling in love. Then, on the day of her 16th birthday, a prince was riding through the woods. The prince heard Briar Rose singing. He asked her to dance, and before they knew it, they had fallen in love. Briar Rose had no idea he was a prince from a nearby kingdom, and the prince had no idea that she was really a princess. The 3 aunts were busy baking Briar Rose's 16th birthday cake. Briar Rose returned to the cottage and told her aunts about the stranger she had met and danced with. The aunts told Briar Rose her real name was Princess Aurora, and she would be returning to the castle that evening. The 3 fairies brought Princess Aurora home to her eagerly awaiting family. Everyone thought the princess had escaped Maleficent's evil curse. But no one knew Maleficent was hiding upstairs. As soon as Maleficent saw Aurora alone, she put her in a trance and led her into a room with a gleaming spinning wheel. "Touch the spindle, touch it," said Maleficent. Princess Aurora obeyed. She pricked her finger and fell to the floor. The 3 fairies found the sleeping princess and were heartbroken. They must now find the handsome stranger the princess had met in the woods. The fairies found the prince, and when he heard the news, he raced towards Princess Aurora's castle. Maleficent was waiting to stop the prince, but she was no match for the prince, and he made his way to the peaceful, beautiful, sleeping Princess Aurora. He knelt by her side and gently kissed her. Slowly, Princess Aurora opened her eyes. She smiled when she saw the face of the handsome stranger from the forest. He was her true love. Aurora sat up and took his hand. The prince asked Aurora to be his bride. "Yes, of course," replied Princess Aurora. They would live in his grand castle, close to her parents and her fairy aunts. Princess Aurora and the prince lived happily ever after.